Hello everyone. When you begin to focus on yourself, you unlock a strength that does not come from people, circumstances, or praise. It comes from the quiet work happening within your own heart. Many individuals spend their energy trying to correct others, seeking validation, or reacting to disrespect. But true strength begins the moment you understand that your growth is the foundation upon which everything else stands. When you build yourself, you rise, and when you rise, disrespect loses its power over you. Not because it stops coming, but because you no longer depend on the opinions of those who cannot see your worth. Inner strength is not loud, it does not announce itself. It is cultivated in private moments, when you choose calm over chaos, purpose over distraction, and discipline over excuses. It is born in the decision to improve your character, your thinking, your habits, and your emotional endurance. When you strengthen what is inside you, what is outside you begins to shift. People who once looked down on you can no longer reach you, because you have grown beyond the level where their words matter. Their disrespect becomes too small to disturb a spirit that is growing tall. There are moments when disrespect stings, and you may feel tempted to defend yourself or fight to prove who you are. But a person who knows their identity does not waste energy dragging their light into someone else's darkness. You do not need to explain your value to anyone who is committed to misunderstanding it. Instead, you turn inward. You build, you refine, you elevate. And the more you develop your mind and spirit, the clearer you become about what truly deserves your attention. This focus is not selfishness, it is stewardship. You are responsible for the condition of your heart. You are responsible for your growth. If you do not take charge of your inner world, the noise of others will gladly fill the space. When you focus on healing your wounds, strengthening your confidence, nurturing your gifts, and expanding your understanding, you create a foundation that cannot be shaken by disrespectful behavior. You begin to understand that disrespect from others is often a signal that they are battling something within themselves. Instead of absorbing their behavior, you remain anchored in who you are becoming. As you invest in your own growth, clarity begins to form. You start to see which voices matter and which ones do not. You begin to recognize the difference between correction and disrespect, between sincere concern and unnecessary noise. This clarity protects your peace, because inner strength always produces inner wisdom. You will no longer allow every opinion to enter your mind. You will no longer let every emotion dictate your decisions. You will no longer respond to every provocation, because you know that your focus is too precious to waste. The beautiful part is that when you build yourself, everything around you eventually aligns. Opportunities that once seemed distant suddenly draw near because confidence meets preparation. Relationships become healthier, because your boundaries are clearer. Your purpose becomes brighter, because distractions lose their hold on you. You no longer seek respect from people who cannot offer it. Instead, respect grows naturally from the strength and consistency of your character. This is why the journey inward is so essential. The more you focus on becoming the best version of yourself, the less you are affected by the behavior of others. Their disrespect no longer becomes a wound, it becomes a reminder of how far you've grown, because what used to break you no longer moves you. Your strength is no longer measured by how loud you respond, but by how deeply you stand. And when you stand strong within yourself, everything in your life begins to fall into place. When you understand that your identity comes from your purpose and not from the approval of people, something powerful takes place within you. So many individuals live burdened because they have allowed the opinions of others to sculpt their sense of worth. They rise when praised and crumble when criticized. They feel valuable when accepted, and feel invisible when ignored. But this is a fragile way to live, because the approval of people is inconsistent, temporary, and often influenced by their own insecurities. Your purpose, however, is steady. It does not shift with emotions. It does not depend on applause. It comes from a deeper place, one that disrespect cannot touch. When you root your value in purpose, you begin to live from a place of steadiness. You no longer chase after validation, because you already know that you were created for something greater than human approval. You no longer feel threatened by rejection, because you understand that rejection cannot erase what you are meant to become. You no longer lose yourself trying to meet the expectations of others, because you recognize that expectations change, but your calling remains. The moment you realize this, you step into a freedom that many never experience. You stop living as a mirror that reflects the reactions of others, and start living as a light that shines from within. Purpose gives you identity. It reminds you that you were designed with intention, and when you hold on to that truth, you begin to see disrespect differently. Instead of taking it personally, you understand that people's treatment of you often reveals more about their own internal struggles than it does about your value. Their anger is not your identity. Their jealousy is not your identity. Their dismissive actions are not your identity. Your identity comes from the assignment placed over your life, and when you remember that, you rise above the pettiness that once disturbed you. There will always be people who misunderstand you. There will always be people who underestimate what you carry. Some will question your choices, your dreams, or your progress simply because they cannot see what is unfolding within you. But purpose does not require universal agreement. It requires commitment. When you hold fast to your purpose, you begin to walk with a quiet assurance. You no longer feel the need to prove yourself. You no longer bend your life to gain approval. You operate from a deeper knowing that the one who called you has already validated you. This shift transforms how you move through life. Instead of responding to disrespect with hurt, you respond with clarity. Instead of fighting for recognition, you focus on growth. Instead of allowing others to define you, you define your direction by staying true to what you are called to do. And when your identity is anchored in purpose, people's reactions lose their power to shape your emotional world. You stop shrinking when people disapprove. You stop overthinking every comment. You stop waiting for someone to affirm what you already know in your spirit. The more you lean into your purpose, the more grounded you become. And grounded people do not chase recognition, they attract it. They do not beg for respect, they earn it through consistency, character, and quiet strength. Others may not understand your journey today, but they will eventually see the fruit of your purpose. They will see a peace that cannot be explained by circumstances, a confidence that is not loud but steady, a posture that cannot be shaken by disrespect or misunderstanding. When you live from purpose, you stop living for applause. You begin to rise, not because others lifted you, but because truth lifted you. And when truth carries you, nothing and no one can pull you down. And when you truly know who you are, everything else begins to fall into place. There comes a moment in your journey when you begin to realize that disrespect is not a final declaration about who you are, it is simply a signal. It is a sign of where others are in their own hearts, not a reflection of your destiny. Many people carry wounds because they treated someone's disrespect as a sentence carved into their identity. They believed the harsh words, the dismissive attitudes, or the careless actions meant that they were less valuable, less capable, or less deserving. But disrespect, when looked at through the lens of wisdom, is not a verdict. It is information. It reveals the condition of another person's inner world far more than it reveals anything about you. When someone disrespects you, they are often acting out of brokenness, insecurity, jealousy, or unresolved pain. Their behavior is a mirror showing what is happening inside them. It has nothing to do with the greatness that is growing inside you. And the moment you understand this, something within you shifts. You stop internalizing what was never meant to define you. You stop carrying words that were never rooted in truth. You stop shrinking under the weight of someone else's emotional chaos. You begin to see that every act of disrespect is simply a reminder to stay anchored in your purpose. Disrespect can be painful, but it is not powerful unless you hand it authority. It may sting, but it cannot stop you unless you allow it to take root in your heart. When you recognize that, you respond differently. Instead of reacting with anger, you learn to respond with understanding. Instead of letting bitterness grow, you choose clarity. Instead of replaying the moment over and over in your mind, you focus on the direction you are headed. You begin to realize that people's behavior is often a reflection of battles within themselves. Battles you were never called to fight. This understanding frees you. It frees you from unnecessary arguments. It frees you from the pressure to prove yourself. It frees you from carrying emotional burdens that were never yours. Disrespect becomes a signal telling you where to place your energy, where to establish boundaries, and where to redirect your focus. It teaches you that your peace is too valuable to be handed to someone who doesn't know how to treat it. As you grow, you will notice that disrespect no longer triggers the same reaction it once did. What used to make you angry now makes you thoughtful. What once hurt you now reveals something deeper. You begin to understand that some people disrespect what they fear, what they envy, or what they do not understand. And instead of lowering yourself to their level, you rise above because you refuse to let someone else's wounds dictate your worth. When you carry this mindset, you walk with quiet strength. You become unshakable. You stop depending on the behavior of others to feel whole. You stop letting the moods of others decide the quality of your day. You stop interpreting someone's inability to recognize your value as evidence that you have none. You know who you are, and therefore, no amount of disrespect can uproot your identity. This is the power of seeing disrespect for what it truly is, a signal, not a sentence. It does not define you. It only refines your understanding of people. And in this refinement, you gain wisdom, resilience, and clarity. You learn to protect your peace without losing your compassion. You learn to rise without becoming hardened. You learn to walk forward without looking back to explain yourself. And when you refuse to let disrespect shape your identity, everything in your life begins to fall into place. There is a beautiful order that begins to form in your life when you commit yourself to spiritual discipline. When you take the time to quiet your mind, to reflect, to pray, to listen, and to grow inwardly, something shifts around you. Many people try to fix the outer world without tending to the inner one. They try to manage relationships, pressures, conflicts, and disrespect without ever strengthening the spiritual foundation that holds everything together. But true alignment starts within. When your spirit is steady, your steps begin to align. When your heart is anchored, your life begins to flow with clarity and purpose. Spiritual discipline is not about rituals or routines alone. It is about cultivating a space within yourself where truth can settle, where peace can breathe, and where wisdom can speak. When you make time to connect with what is eternal, the temporary loses its grip on you. The noise of disrespect becomes quieter. The attacks of negativity lose their sharpness. The confusion of the world no longer pulls you in every direction. You begin to walk with a focus that cannot be easily disturbed. There is a reason why people who invest in their inner lives carry a different presence. They are not easily shaken. They are not easily offended. They do not crumble under pressure. They do not need to respond to every insult or prove themselves to every voice. They move with a quiet authority because their strength comes from a deeper place. When you keep your spirit nourished, your mind grows clearer, your emotions gain balance, and your decisions gain direction. Spiritual discipline teaches you to pause before reacting. It teaches you to breathe before responding. It teaches you to observe before assuming. In those moments of stillness, clarity rises. You begin to understand that not every battle is yours to fight, not every comment deserves your attention, and not every disrespect requires your energy. You learn to conserve your strength for what truly matters. You learn to navigate life with a grace that surprises those who expected you to break. As you deepen this discipline, your priorities shift. You begin to see what is worth holding on to and what must be released. You learn to forgive without carrying bitterness. You learn to hope without becoming naive. You learn to love without losing yourself. Spiritual discipline aligns your heart with truth, and truth aligns your life with purpose. You no longer move through life merely reacting to circumstances. You move with intention, with grounding, with clarity. This alignment does more than change your inner world, it begins to shape your outer circumstances as well. When your spirit is steady, your relationships become healthier because you no longer operate from insecurity or fear. Your work improves because your mind is focused and unclouded. Your confidence grows because it is rooted in something stable and eternal. Even your responses to disrespect change. Instead of letting it pierce you, you see it from a higher perspective and rise above it with dignity. People may wonder how you maintain peace in chaos or strength in uncertainty, but it is the result of quiet, disciplined moments you have spent centering your heart, sharpening your mind, and listening to the gentle pull of purpose. You become a person who does not chase alignment. You create it through your inner practices. And when your inner life is in order, your outer world naturally begins to reflect that harmony. Spiritual discipline doesn't remove challenges, but it transforms you into someone who can face them with wisdom and grace. It centers you, strengthens you, and steadies you in a world that constantly tries to pull you off balance. And when your spirit stands aligned, everything else begins to fall into place. There is a profound power in setting boundaries, especially when it comes to protecting your calling and your peace. Many people live their lives, allowing every voice, every opinion, and every attitude to dictate the quality of their day. They bend, they compromise, they absorb negativity, because they feel obligated to respond, to please, or to fight for validation. But boundaries are not walls built to isolate you, they are guardrails that keep you on the path you were meant to walk. They allow you to move freely without being pulled off course by disrespect or distraction. When someone disrespects you, it is not always necessary to confront them, to argue with them, or to justify your worth. Sometimes the strongest response is simply to hold your ground, to stay in your integrity, and to refuse to let their behavior penetrate your peace. Boundaries give you the freedom to do this. They allow you to protect your energy while continuing to grow. They allow you to focus on your purpose without getting lost in the chaos of others' immaturity or hurt. By setting limits on what you will accept, you create a space where your life can flourish. Boundaries are a reflection of self-respect. They tell the world that you value yourself enough to not tolerate what diminishes you. They tell you that your time, your energy, and your spirit are precious. And when you live this way, something remarkable happens. The people who truly belong in your life rise to meet you, and the ones who cannot respect you begin to fade away. It is not about revenge or exclusion, it is about alignment with what is good and true for your growth. Many people fear setting boundaries because they worry it will make them seem harsh or unkind. But the truth is that refusing to let disrespect or negativity take root in your life is an act of courage, not cruelty. It is a statement that you will not compromise your destiny for the comfort of others. When you protect your peace, you create the clarity needed to hear your calling, to follow your purpose, and to walk confidently into the future that has been prepared for you. Boundaries are the bridge between distraction and focus, between chaos and clarity, between reactive living and intentional growth. It is also important to recognize that boundaries are not just about keeping negative people out, they are about keeping positive energy in. They are about surrounding yourself with relationships, environments, and habits that nurture your growth. When your life is filled with support, encouragement, and wisdom, you move faster, think clearer, and respond with greater strength. Disrespect loses its power not because it disappears, but because you have built a life that cannot be shaken by it. Boundaries require consistency. They require the courage to say no when it would be easier to say yes. They require the discipline to step away from situations that drain your spirit, even when doing so may feel uncomfortable. But every time you uphold them, you are reinforcing the value of your own purpose and your own journey. You are teaching yourself and the world that your growth is non-negotiable. And in that teaching, your life begins to align more closely with your calling. People may still misunderstand you. They may attempt to push, manipulate, or provoke you. But when you walk within your boundaries, their disrespect cannot penetrate the core of who you are. You are no longer reactive, you are intentional. You no longer feel diminished, you feel empowered. You no longer waste energy proving yourself, you conserve it for what truly matters. And when your boundaries protect your calling, everything else begins to fall into place. There is a remarkable truth that many people fail to grasp. Focus is not just a habit, it is a force that shapes your destiny. When you keep your eyes on your own growth, your own development, and your own purpose, the world around you begins to align in ways you never imagined. Too often, people allow themselves to be distracted by what others are doing, by the disrespect they encounter, or by the noise of life that has nothing to do with their calling. But the one who masters focus understands that energy is precious, and where you place it determines what grows in your life. Focus is not just about working harder. It is about working with intention. It is about knowing what matters and refusing to let anything else pull you off course. When you concentrate on improving yourself, you create momentum that cannot be stopped. Skills sharpen, knowledge expands, wisdom deepens, and character strengthens. Every moment you invest in yourself compounds, quietly preparing you for opportunities that have been waiting for your readiness. The distractions, the criticisms, and even the disrespect you face become secondary, because your attention is fixed on the path of growth and progress. When people are disrespectful, it is easy to get sidetracked. Your mind wants to argue, your emotions want to react, and your spirit wants to prove itself. But focus teaches patience. Focus teaches endurance. Focus teaches that the battle worth winning is the one inside you, the battle for your own discipline, your own vision, and your own character. The more you maintain your focus, the less power external negativity has over you. The louder the world gets, the quieter your spirit becomes, anchored in purpose and determined to rise. Focus also brings clarity. When your attention is unwavering, you begin to see opportunities that others overlook. You notice solutions where others see problems. You recognize your strengths and weaknesses with honesty, and you make adjustments that propel you forward rather than holding you back. Focus is a lens through which life becomes understandable. The confusion of disrespect, misunderstanding, and opposition starts to fade because you are seeing life from a higher vantage point, a vantage point rooted in growth, purpose, and vision. Consistency is key to this kind of focus. Every small, deliberate act of growth builds into a larger transformation. Every hour you spend learning, praying, reflecting, or improving yourself strengthens the foundation of your future. It may feel slow at times, and the distractions of life may tempt you to look elsewhere for validation or comfort, but focus requires persistence. It requires a refusal to let temporary noise determine permanent outcomes. When you keep your eyes on yourself, the very circumstances that once seemed chaotic begin to rearrange themselves around the path you are creating. The beauty of focus is that it generates a natural alignment. As you grow, Your environment shifts. People who are meant to support your journey draw near. Opportunities that were hidden become visible. Challenges that once felt overwhelming begin to make sense, and even disrespect takes on a new meaning as a reminder that you are moving on a higher plane, and that your energy is too valuable to waste on negativity. Focus transforms potential into reality, and dreams into tangible progress. Those who master focus learn to prioritize what truly matters. They no longer measure success by how others see them, but by how faithfully they are growing, developing, and stepping into their purpose. Life stops being a battle against external forces and becomes a journey of internal alignment. Every step forward, every lesson learned, every moment invested in self-improvement brings you closer to the life that has been waiting for you. And when your focus remains on your own growth, everything in your life begins to fall into place.